What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. Sitting across from me this week and every week, he's the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition. It's Desra. Yeah, that's the
okay
for sure.
Yep. And sitting across from me, of course, is Brian Paul.
And every week on Why We Love PlayStation VR, we dip into the PlayStation VR archives. VR archives. And we pull out a game at random, usually a launch title, something early on. We're breaking the rule again this week.
Again, yeah, we're doing that a lot lately.
We dust it off and we play it for your consideration. Find out if it's worth your hard-earned dollars. That being said, what game did we decide to review this week, Desra?
This week we're talking about Torn.
By Aspire Media.
No, by Natalie Imbruglia.
By Natalie Imbruglia, released August 28th, 2018.
No, it's older than that.
What?
Torn? That came out like...
For $29.99, I'm not letting you carry on with this joke. And really, there's a reason we're doing this now.
Yes.
We've already kind of told everybody that next month,
Dun-dun-dun.
PSVR next month, it's our new show. We're gonna do a lot of scary games.
Yeah, it's October.
It's October month.
Yep.
Scary game month, whatever. And a perfect lead into that, this being the last week in September.
Yep.
Right before October, let's do something maybe not scary, but something on the...
We're gonna ease our way into creepy.
Ease our way into creepy. That should be the tagline for this entire YouTube channel.
Okay. All right. T-shirt.
Let's do it. Yep. So Aspire Media.
Easing our way into creepy since 2018.
I don't know how we're going to do this episode. I've researched a bit of Aspire Media.
Okay.
And it looks like until this point they were kind of more of a publisher than developer.
Yeah, this was their first original game. Their first in-house developed game.
Okay.
Before that, they were a publisher. Not just a publisher. They were basically a porter.
Yeah, a port house.
Yeah, they would basically take BioShock, for instance, and port it to Mac and Linux.
Yeah.
And I mean, that wasn't the only game, but a lot of like fairly big titles. I don't want to dismiss
Call of
it.
Duty games.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and that's what I kept seeing. It was like they actually ported these games, developed these games from the original code to bring them over to Mac and Linux, and that was like what they did.
Right, and that answered one of my questions because I saw in a lot of the credits the writers are Neil Glancy and Susan O'Connor, who basically have worked on like Tomb Raider and BioShock. The guy who did the music for BioShock and Middle Earth, one of the Middle Earth games. It's like, wow, those are some pretty heavy hitters for what kind of feels like an indie title. But turns out they've got, Aspire might not make the biggest name, but they've got some connections.
And to be fair, they were definitely pulling on those BioShock strings the entire time.
Yeah.
Everything from the music to even the font they use a lot of the times throughout the game. It is very BioShocky.
Yeah.
It might be the same fonts.
Well, and that's the weird thing. Like the art style of the game, it says it's like, I don't know, around 1953 or so when this mansion was made. Yeah. But it feels a lot more steampunky than...
Steampunk is the exact word I was thinking.
Not really 20th century.
Yeah. Yeah. So in this game, you play as Catherine, as people pronounce names. Catherine. Why do people watch us? Catherine Patterson, and she's a video blogger.
Yeah. And because that's a thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. And she just stumbles across this house.
Are we video bloggers?
I don't really know what we do.
Okay.
Not sure why anybody watches. Stumbles across a mansion in the middle of the woods.
Yes.
And so the entire game, you have her voice in your head. Her thoughts are yours. Yeah,
and actually, backing up a little, here's something that I got in the research that the backstory never tells us. She never says she's a video blogger.
Yeah.
She says she has a blog. Well, in some of the reviews or some of the things I read in my research, no, her channel is one where she specifically goes out and explores derelict properties, old insane asylums and things like that.
It would have made more sense if somehow that got shoehorned into the game.
Right?
Because the game starts you off and you are in the middle of the woods on a little path leading you to a gate. And as she turns in the first 5 seconds in the corner of this path and the mansion comes into view, she goes, "Oh my goodness. Like, she doesn't know this is there. It's like she stumbled across it. So, like, it does not sound like at all that she set out to find this thing.
No.
That she heard rumors of it or whatever. And no, this she totally stumbled across it. So it's crazy that this just happens to be her profession.
Yeah, and this kind of brings to one of my critiques of the game. So at first I was like, oh my god, she's terrible. Like, but actually, you know what? The voice acting is really good. The actress is good. The lines she is given are crap.
I think, and I really hate saying this about people who do voice acting, as somebody who just discovered how bad they are at doing it. I didn't like the lines or the way she delivered them.
Okay.
I was not a fan. In fact, having her voice in my head the entire time, I was just like, man, you're not a good person.
Right. Well, but she's not. And
that's what I'm saying. It's a combination of both.
Yeah.
Not only did I not like what she was saying, I didn't like how she was saying.
Okay.
Anyway, so here you are, starting off down this path, opening this gate. And
what kind of game is this, by the way? We should probably even say that.
I don't know how to answer this question.
Okay.
I'm gonna say the developers are calling it like a puzzle adventure game. We will get to the reason why that doesn't make sense momentarily.
Yes.
So we're walking down this path, and I gotta say, as far as I know, this is not optimized for the PlayStation 4 Pro.
Okay.
I looked at on the PlayStation Store. It doesn't say anything about it. It doesn't say Pro optimized. It doesn't say anything. And honestly, if it's not, I wouldn't be surprised because everything is pretty low resolution.
Yes.
Everything has this like shimmer over it. But somehow you're walking down this path and all the foliage is like blowing in the wind, and it's very well done.
Did you look up close at the foliage by any chance?
Try not to.
I because when I first started playing, I had a little bit of navigation issues, and I ended up in a tree. A tree. Well, just kind of, and the leaves are actually just these literally two-dimensional sheets.
Sure.
Well, no, I mean literally, like if you look at the wrong angle, they disappear.
Okay.
And it's a little thing, but I saw that like, ooh, this is going to be rough.
Now let me ask you this: is this something you would have noticed if you weren't stuck in a tree?
Probably not.
Okay, because I was, like I said, I was walking toward the mansion and I was like looking around and I was like, wow, everything kind of moves, and like whatever tricks they had to do to make that happen.
Yeah.
I was like, this is actually, for the low resolution that it is, and the shimmery, jagged lines everywhere. I was like, this works for me. This screams, as far as Gen 1 PlayStation VR is concerned. I'm like, Capcom could have released this introduction scene as part of Resident Evil 8, and I would have been like, okay, I'm down.
Okay.
Sign me up.
All right.
Because the introduction to Resident Evil 7 doesn't look much better than this. When you're outside in Resident Evil 7, I don't think it looks that much better than what's going on here.
We've talked about it before. I mean, I think we both agree, the resolution on Resident Evil 7 isn't spectacular, but there's still some quality to it that feels a little more realistic and a little more grounded than this does. And I'm not saying like the wacky architecture of the building. That's clearly not realistic, but I don't know. There was just something missing for me.
There are definitely and again more things that we're going to get to soon that made it a little cardboardy for me. And not Google Cardboard or whatever that mobile thing is. I'm talking actual. That things feels more like a set than something in this place that you're actually inhabiting. And so as you progress, as I'm sure we're way past this in the video by now, but you very quickly realize that you're locked out, and there's a big button. We push the button, you go down an elevator, and it brings you basically to the basement of this mansion. And what?
Well, I mean, it's a classic trope of any horror movie or things like that. Say, I'm gonna look around. Let's see, I want to get into that house. Let's just stand in front of this big red button and push it.
Why not?
It's not a thing I would do.
No. I mean, but
maybe
again,
just hop that fence.
But again, we're not in the profession that she is.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And so the first impressions I'm getting from this game are all really good.
Okay.
Right. The graphics are working for me. Like the introduction is all orchestral and everything, and it's like it just kind of screams AAA to me in all sorts of different directions.
Okay.
And even when you first entered the basement, you're going down this like little hallway there, and there's like these caution tape, like police tape that's up, and you reach out and grab them. And
that's kind of cool. Yeah, it was a cool moment.
Yeah. And there's cobwebs, and you can pull down the cobwebs. And man, if you're like me and you get into VR, and the first thing you want to do is touch everything and pick up everything and throw everything and pull everything and see what you can interact with, this game is going to make you very happy for a little while.
When I was in the garage, that was the first thing I saw. I noticed I was picking up, there's a radio and all that. I was like, oh, Brian is going to love this.
Right?
Yeah.
Picking things up and throwing them in VR is one of the greatest things you can do in life.
But then picking up a book and not having anything written on it. And then picking up a radio, which is basically the equivalent of a brick because it doesn't actually make any sound or do anything.
And that's sort of where the facade starts to fall apart. Where people are like, you can interact with every single thing in this mansion.
If by interact you mean pick it up and put it down somewhere else, then yes, you can interact with anything.
But there is nothing in this mansion. Like, you can pull everything off the walls. You can pull big paintings off the wall. You can pull the moose head or deer head or whatever it is off the wall. I mean, the piano, like anything that isn't nailed down, you can pick up and move.
Yep.
And it all has the same, like, okay, well, this is just a set piece, right? This is just decoration. None of it has any function,
right? With one exception, the tape recorders.
With the tape recorders,
yeah.
Okay.
There's a few of those hidden around. They're kind of Easter eggy, give you a little extra details about the plot. You don't need to find them to understand what's going on. And in fact, because of the ending, it doesn't really matter what they say, anyways.
Oh God, we'll get to the ending. We're going to try not to spoil anything, but like there is going to be a moment here where I go, we need to talk about the ending.
Yeah.
But we'll get there. Okay.
Oh, and this, since we're still kind of at the beginning.
Sure.
If you watch the original trailer for this.
Yeah.
Which I did a few times. In the rating section, it says rated whatever. I can't remember. I can't remember what the rating was, but one of the things it says is partial nudity.
Yeah.
Did I miss something?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think I saw any partial nudity.
I don't even think I saw anything.
I don't think I saw too many other characters.
Yeah, I didn't see a body. Never mind nudity. Like, there were pictures of people on the walls, but
there are things about this game that make me think that maybe there was another game being designed, and that is one of the clues.
Yeah.
So we talked about what kind of game is this, and we said it's a puzzle adventure game of some kind.
Yeah.
Let's talk about these puzzles, because I think this is the meat of my issue with Torn.
Okay.
I don't really think there are any puzzles in this game.
No. Well, so I don't know if you remember when you were very, very little, at least when I was, there was this toy you found all over the place. It was like this ball-shaped thing. The top half was blue, the bottom half was red, and there were kind of shapes cut out.
Yes.
And they were like little yellow pieces that would fit in those shapes. If you like that game, you're gonna love Torn.
Because that's kind of all it is.
Yeah, it's finding it's like find the piece that matches that shape, pick it up and put it there, and maybe sometimes turn it.
Yeah. And not turn it to any. You don't even have to look at it while you're turning it. Just keep hitting that turn button. It just locks into place.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So every single room you enter in this game is stunning. Okay, the art design in this game is amazing, but none of what you see has anything to do with the puzzles.
No.
In fact, you're given at some point a little flashlight / wand / gravity gun.
It's the gravity gun.
Yeah, it totally is. and what happens is when you shine that light on the floor, ceiling, walls, whatever, things start to glow. And it's almost like in the walls, floors, and ceilings of this mansion, there's like circuit boards everywhere.
Right.
And there are missing pieces of the circuits. And all of those things that we talked about that you can pick up and throw and do whatever with, all around the room, some of them are branded on the bottom.
Yep.
With the missing piece that you're looking for. And so all it is a Where's Waldo. You just shine the light around until you find the right piece. You pick it up with the gravity gun. You shove it into the wall. You hit that turn button until it locks into place. And I don't know, you have to do that like 10 times to solve each circuit.
Yep.
And then all the pieces fall to the ground, and you have to do it again.
And even the few times, like there are a few different types of switches and circuits. There are big ones, and there are little ones, and there are pressure plates that you have to put something down on. And there was like once or twice that there was a pressure plate on like the side of a wall. It's like, oh, okay, now I can start. I started having hope. Like, oh, now we're gonna start like they lulled me to a false sense of security, making this easy. Now I'm going to have to stack things, and I'm thinking back to Tumble VR. Like, oh great, I'm going to start. And actually, no, you don't really have to do that, because the one time it's difficult to reach the thing, it turns out actually it's just a momentary switch. Yeah. So all I have to do is just hold something against it once, and then
you solve the rest of the circuit, and then pick up something and throw it against the wall, and you're good to go.
I was sitting there, like, it's an upstairs hallway. There's like a ventilation thing, and I'm like trying to, like, oh, maybe if I put this picture in there and this on top, and just trying to put a picture in there.
Yeah.
And then I spent like 20 minutes doing that, and then accidentally realized, oh, I just have to hit it once.
It is totally possible.
Yeah.
It is totally possible to overthink this game.
Absolutely.
Because there's not a lot of thinking involved. In fact, you said, oh, here's where I started to have hope.
Yeah.
Right? That maybe everything leading up to this was just kind of tutorial and being like, here are the basics. Now let's go to town with these puzzles. Right. Well, here's where I had hope. It was the next room. It was like the big dining room table.
Yeah.
And there were like 3 ships.
Yes.
And you actually pull out all the sails of the ships to match the ones that are shown on the walls. There's like pictures of ships, I think.
Yeah.
And you just try to match the sails. And I was like, oh, this is kind of Resident Evil 1, 2, 3 Code Veronica kind of puzzle solving.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm like, maybe this is where this game is evolving.
Right. And it's very different than the other types of puzzles you had to solve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it never happens again.
No.
Like, that is the one where I was like, okay, here we go. Things are going to start evolving now. Right. And that was the beginning and end of the evolution of the puzzles.
Right. I've got to observe what's going on in the room. I have to look for clues to solve the... No.
Yeah. So here's the thing. It sounds like we're being really negative about this game and about the puzzles. That's maybe a little bit more than me. The thing is every time I talk about this game with somebody, they always bring up Myst or Abduction.
Yeah.
And because it looks like, if you looked at screenshots and you hear this is a puzzle game, you're going to look at this game and go, oh, this is made by Cyan Worlds, or this is a game that's inspired by Cyan Worlds games, and it's just not. Yeah. It's just not. These are not the kind of puzzles that you're solving. There are really no puzzles that require any thought at all.
Right, and it's not the kind of storytelling or exposition. I think that's the more important part. Like, I could deal with, a good puzzle is really, really hard to design.
Sure.
I totally grant you that. And I would be able to totally overlook that if they were able to tell a compelling story in the way, like a lot of people compare this to Abduction. Like, oh, it looks so much better than Abduction or whatever. First of all, you're wrong. But second...
No, this looks infinitely better than Abduction.
I don't know. But
okay.
But either way, you don't get that, like, you walk into the world of Abduction and you get just enough hints that something has gone terribly wrong.
Yeah.
And you need to go find out. And you're, at least if you're like me, I'm compelled to look for more information to find out. And you're just giving little hints and teases. And you've got to put the story together yourself. This is, you don't know what's happening, wait a couple minutes, and info dump, here you go.
Yeah. And in fact, if you can't find the piece of the puzzle you're looking for, we didn't even talk about
Talbot,
the other person in this game, portrayed as a glowing ball of light, Dr. Lawrence Talbot.
Yep, played by Mr. Flair.
Mr. Flair. Yeah. Who's Mr. Flair?
Mr. Flair is a reference that maybe one person will get.
And that person wasn't me.
Yeah. Captain Disillusion?
No.
Dude, I got to turn you on to Captain D.
Okay. Captain D. I feel like something's not right here. And so he basically if you wait too long to find the right piece for the puzzle, he goes, here it is. It's over here.
Literally.
Come over here. Here. It's like she's shining a light on it. And I'm like,
at first he'll say, well, what's wrong with the room? Well, okay. Then eventually, maybe you should look over there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's this piece here.
Yeah, they don't even give you a second. Like, as if you think where's Waldo is puzzle solving, well, then you don't even get to look for Waldo.
Yeah.
Because eventually, within seconds, the game tells you where Waldo is. Yeah. And then on top of that, as you said, the storytelling, Lawrence Talbot, as soon as you solve... So you walk into a room, you solve the puzzle. The pieces fall down, you solve the puzzle again. It gives you a variation on the one you just did. And then all the pieces fall down, and guess what? You get to do it one more time, kids. It's every single room you walk into. This is why with every single room that unlocked, I had this sense of wonder for a moment, and then a sense of dread. Yep. Because I was like, oh, I can't wait to see what the next room looks like. I can't wait to see what it's all about. And then I'm like, oh, I'm stuck here while I solve 3 damn puzzles again. It's just time. It's just I feel like the game doesn't respect my time.
No.
I have better things to do than put square pegs in square holes.
And then on top of that, your reward for unlocking the room
Thank you.
is going to, what do they call it? The parallel.
The parallel. The upside down. I'm sorry, parallel.
The parallel.
Yeah.
Which is basically just this big gray ocean. Mm-hmm. And then there's this huge piece of machinery, which becomes important, I guess, later. And then another Talbot. But instead of like a little glowing dot played by Mr. Flair, now he's played by Silly Putty.
Yeah, actually. That's true.
And then and one of the more annoying parts of the game, as you're going through we didn't mention this, like as you shine your flashlight over stuff, they kind of vibrate and shake. Mm-hmm. And you hit your button and this little puff of light comes out. And eventually you realize that those are Mr. Talbot's memories. And you get to the parallel, and he asks, "Oh, could I have some more of those, please?"
Give me a dose.
And you hit the button. And you hit the button, and then finally the game says, "Oh no, I'm ready for you to hit the button now." Then you can hit the button.
Yeah, there's a strangely long delay from the point where he says, "Can you please hit me up with my memories?"
It's over and over again throughout the game. It's like there are these triggered events that if you move at a faster pace than the game is ready for, it just either stops or like there's a couple times where. Like, I knew, because it doesn't take much thinking, what I was supposed to do next before Talbot told me. And so I would start going there. But if you went there before Talbot said to, and you were kind of, I guess, out of his range, he would just freeze. And usually he's kind of like following you along, giving you hints and whatnot. And he would just freeze until you came back to him. Like, oh, there you are. And then the event would trigger and move on.
This actually didn't happen to me much during the game.
Okay.
Because I guess maybe I was just taking my time. Mm-hmm. But it did happen to me quite a few times during the final hour in the laboratory.
Yeah.
And,
that's where I noticed it the most.
And it was painful because the final hour of this game, I feel like I'm not going to talk about that. The final hour of this game is painful. Yeah.
As much as the puzzles for the first part of the game are intricate and lovely and wonderful and difficult compared to the puzzles at the end, which are see those switches, go turn those switches.
Yeah, it's just a series of instructions that you're asked to follow, and nothing happens until you do it.
Yep.
Period.
And it's like there's even a section where there are these big plugs that you have to pick up and put in somewhere into another hole. So it's like a plug, you pick it up, and there's, I don't know, like 9 holes and 6 plugs. So right there, it's like, oh, maybe I can match colors or something like that. No, he tells you, pick up that one and put it there. Yeah. Pick up that one and put it there. You do that, you go to the parallel, you come back, you do it again.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, no, it's if you're not having any fun during the first 3 or 4 hours of this game, you are certainly not going to have any fun during the last hour of this game. Here's my biggest issue with this game.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the people responsible for designing
should be shot.
All of the no, the people responsible for designing all of the puzzles in this game, everything that you're meant to do throughout the course of the game. Mm-hmm. I feel like those people had nothing to do with the design of the game. Like, there were people who were like, hey, like there were these talented artists and environmental designers and stuff at Aspire Media. Yep. And they were like, here, look what we created in VR. We created this beautiful mansion. Yep. We created like this very cool architecture. We created this, here's an elevator over here, and every single book on the shelf you can pick up and throw, and the whole world is interactable.
Yeah.
Interactable?
Sure.
Interactory, I don't know.
Interactable.
This is why people don't hire me for anything. And so it's, and that world was given to somebody, and they say, okay, now make a game out of it. And they were like, okay. Yeah. Every room you enter is now a circuit board. Mm-hmm. Instead of creating puzzles that were actually environmental puzzles, they created like these artificial time wasters.
Yeah, and that's going back to the Mist and Abduction and Riven. Like, the puzzles there are you figuring out how to use a technology that you don't know how to use.
Yeah.
Abduction, it's an alien technology. It's like you actually have to figure out, I think it was like a base 32 numbering system. Or was it base 16? It doesn't matter. Like, and you just have to figure that out.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what would happen. It's a little more naturalistic. No one is actually going to design it. Let's see. I need to run some circuitry. Tell you what. Let's take this old mansion my wife's parents own, rip out the walls, put circuitry through there, and make it so that I have to pick up a fire extinguisher and bolt it to the ceiling in order for my machine to work.
Yeah.
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 I think you totally nailed it. The graphic designers, the visual effects people, they had a very clear vision for what they wanted this place to look like.
Mm-hmm.
They executed it very well.
Yep.
And then the game design people were just, I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like this was done in stages where they're like, okay, here's what we want the game to look like and feel like, and here's the tone and the setting, and then everything just kind of didn't come together at the end. And we haven't even talked about the controls yet.
Okay.
2 move controls required.
Yes.
And to walk forward, you hold down the move button on one of the controllers.
And you pull the trigger if you want to walk slightly faster.
Well, at no point in this game did I ever just hold the move button. Because I could crawl faster. I could drunkenly stumble home faster than this move button allows you to walk. Then you hold down the trigger, and suddenly if you're pushing both of these things, then you're walking at a relatively normal pace. But it's still pretty slow.
Yeah, but still slower than, say, like Skyrim's walking speed.
Sure.
Okay, so if Skyrim's base walking speed is too slow for you, buckle up.
Yeah. And I will say that after a while of holding down both buttons just nonstop, and you feel like you got to hold them hard, because you're like, man, maybe if I hold them real hard, I'll walk faster.
Maybe it's kind of a little angrier than you care to admit while you're saying it.
Right? And then you're click turning, mandatory click turning with the.
Well, no, if you turn your head, it does kind of pitch that way a little bit.
And honestly, there's an option to turn that off.
Yeah.
Keep it on, because man, this game does not function properly.
No.
If you try to walk without that option on, if you try to walk with full locomotion and click turning without stopping and walking again, it doesn't work properly.
No,
it's like you keep walking in the wrong direction, and it's like what just happened? So you actually have to turn that on for things to feel normal.
Yeah.
Usually I don't want any kind of head tracking. I don't want to walk where I'm looking. I want to be able to look around while I'm walking in one direction. So immediately. There are things wrong.
Now, how many times did you ever walk and get stuck into a wall?
Constantly.
Yeah.
Like constantly getting stuck on a piece of luggage, constantly getting stuck on a piece of furniture.
Well, and to the point, like, the reason I bring the wall, like, you stuck in a wall, everything's black. Yeah. And I found myself like, okay, well, I can't figure out how to walk myself into this because it's black. So I'd have to go into the options, switch it back to their teleport, and then just arbitrarily start clicking around until I teleported out of whatever I was stuck in.
So I didn't experience the blackness too much. What I did experience was I'm walking and now I'm stuck, and I'm like, what did I get stuck on? Oh, that thing over there. Yep. Okay. And so I learned this from Arizona Sunshine. I just moved my entire head. So the game thinks that like I'm literally walking somewhere else until the move button would start me walking again. And I did a lot of that, like actually artificially moving my body in the game, and you shouldn't have to do that.
No.
So it's a little frustrating just even maneuvering around this world. And
there were some other glitches too. Like I mean, just kind of one that almost broke the game for me. There's one little conservatory room, little garden, and
this must have really been taxing on the PlayStation because my game crashed here.
Yeah. There's a couple times where like it just kept choking, but I had one of the pieces. I was going to plug it in, and it accidentally went out a window. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. It went out the window. Maybe there's this whole other like level of depth, and there's pieces out there. Like, no, it just clipped through the window and no longer existed as far as the game is concerned. Which is a problem because you're not really given extra pieces.
Yeah, no, you're not.
So I had the situation where the piece I needed was out there. I was like, okay, game glitch. So I exit out. I reload. I go back in the room. Piece is still gone. So I had to, like... And what is it about VR games and doors? How is programming opening a door the single hardest thing to do?
I still haven't figured it out.
But so anyways, I had found myself like the way the game works is like you close the door and pretty much it resets the room behind you. So I had to sort of jam myself in the door to keep it open and reach through and grab a piece from another room, which you're not supposed to be able to do. But that's what I ended up having to do to solve this puzzle in this room.
Puzzle in quotes.
Yeah. There's some glitches. Did you ever have any wires disappear?
Wires?
Yeah, so there's some rooms where there's wires hanging from the ceiling. You have to plug the thing into the receptacle.
Okay, sure.
Yes,
absolutely. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
now.
in the nursery, the wire disappeared, and which doesn't seem like a big deal because I can still see the plug, but the length of the wire is really important for some puzzles. Mm-hmm. So if I don't know how long the wire is...
Yeah, when I was in the nursery, there was one that just never appeared.
Yeah, okay, so
it was just a bulb that I thought was hanging in midair.
Yep.
But that's
where's the nursery? All right, so nursery, you have a problem.
Yeah. How long did it take you to beat this thing?
I don't know, 4 hours, maybe 5.
Yeah, I was closer to the 6-hour mark.
Okay.
I think I played it in 2 sittings. People have said to me, they said, maybe you don't enjoy the puzzles because you're playing it all in 1 or 2 sittings. Like maybe you need to take your time and like play this in like hour spurts.
That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
That is the weirdest thing I've ever heard because my response to them, but more response to video game developers in general, if a game can't keep your attention for longer than an hour at a time, then maybe you should go back to the drawing board. Because that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, there's a inherent flaw in the game design if your game gets boring after every hour that you play it.
Right. Well, because there's no variety. There is
no variety.
Yeah.
No. All right.
Which again, I could, and I think I'm gonna segue for you. Which I could totally forgive if the story earned it. Was that where you were going?
I wasn't.
Okay.
I wasn't. But let's tackle this real quick.
Yeah.
We're not going to spoil the story. We barely even talked about the story, which is fine because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because part of the story is you're unlocking this guy's memories, so you're getting spoon-fed bits of the story as you go. Yeah. It's not hard to figure out, though, except that.
And for the next 20 seconds, if you don't even want an inkling of what to expect in this game, then tune out for the next 20 seconds.
Yep.
Did you get the feeling that the ending of the game might as well have just said, "And you woke up and it was all a dream"? Because that's the equivalent of what they gave us.
It's a little more subtle than that, but not much. Yeah, it's pretty much...
It's like everything you just did for the last 5 hours doesn't matter because here's the twist ending.
Yeah, this is where the Twilight Zone comparison, and I read a couple interviews and reviews. Okay, reviewers, we need to have a talk. Just because the press release says that this game is like an episode of Black Mirror or the Twilight Zone doesn't mean you have to say that too.
Yeah.
Black Mirror and Twilight Zone are good things that earn their twist endings.
Yep.
Because they set you up, they give you all the information you need to know that twist ending is coming, but because you're not looking for it, you miss it.
Yeah.
Like The Usual Suspects has a great twist ending because when you go back and watch it again, you're like, oh, it was all there the whole time. I just wasn't looking for it. Right? The best Twilight Zones episodes, the same thing. The twist ending comes, like, where did that come from? And you go back and watch it again, it's like, oh, it was there the whole time. I just wasn't seeing it.
Yep.
This is, story happens, twist ending happens, but there were no hints or touches, unless they were so subtle and brilliant that we missed it. And you know, it's starting to sound very, very arrogant. But it's just... It's not an earned twist ending.
Yeah, it's not. It's not.
See M. Night Shyamalan's career. Sixth Sense, earned. After that, gets dicey.
Yeah. We'll have a whole separate podcast about The Village. That's for sure. Let's we're gonna start running long if we don't just rate this thing. And me and my closing thoughts, they go on forever.
Right.
So let's rate this thing. What's our rating system?
So our rating system. I tried to say system and scheme at the same time. It didn't work. Schema. Anyways, it is 1. Yes, you need to buy this game. It is one of the best things available on PSVR. You should have it. It showcases the technology in an interesting way. It's just fun to play, really beautiful. It's great. Pick it up. 2 is, sure, why not? If it's on sale, if it's in a genre you particularly like, knock yourself out. May not be for everybody, but we're not gonna rag on you too much for buying it. And 3, no, do not buy this game. Friends don't let friends buy crap. We need to vote with our dollars and say we deserve better.
Yep.
You should do better.
Yep.
So 1, 2, or 3. What do you think?
In my surprise twist ending,
it's a 1.
Here's the thing, right? This isn't a $60 game.
That is a factual statement.
This is a $30 game.
Okay.
Right. This is a first effort from an obviously very talented studio. Right. They demonstrated that, man, when it comes to creating quality
environments,
audio, kind of storytelling, like when it comes to a lot of the things that matter, they really have the chops to deliver. They were delivering, for a small studio, they were delivering what could be perceived as a relatively AAA experience for the early days of VR. And what I'm saying is maybe the pieces didn't come together properly, and maybe but foundationally there's something here. Now, every single time I entered another room, like I said, a little bit of dread, but a lot of anticipation. I couldn't wait to see what the next room looked like. Like what does this game have in store for me? I can't wait to explore more of this mansion. I can't wait. I couldn't care less about the story.
Yeah.
I couldn't care less. Every single time they sent me to the Parole, I was like, here we go. I'm just gonna sit and listen to Talbot talk for 5 minutes and then push the button ad nauseum, hoping that it registers.
Push the button, Frank.
Yep. And and it's just, I don't know. There were so many highs and so many lows while I was going through this, that there's a reason it took me weeks to do my review.
Okay.
Because I rewrote it 3 times. I was so, and I don't want to be so torn on how I felt about it. Like, I know overall I'm not thrilled with the final result.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that I desperately want Aspyr to make Torn 2, or I want them to make another adventure game.
A director's cut.
No, I don't want to revisit this world.
Okay.
I want them to make a new game.
Yeah.
And I'm super, super excited to see what else they have in store for us. You know, I don't think we're the only people out there saying the whole time I was putting a square peg through a square hole. In fact, I checked out Steam reviews today.
Yeah.
And at least 3 of them said the exact same words that we've been using.
Yeah.
And But so many other things. They gave us a little gravity gun. They gave us things to play with. They gave us like fun little physics, a way to play with physics for the entire adventure. And so there's all these little things that add up to be like, it was fun to go through the mansion. I just didn't like the moment-to-moment gameplay. And so that's why I'm giving this a 2.
Okay.
Because if you're like, you know what, I don't mind the busy work so that I can experience this mansion, so I can experience, the cool architecture in the awesome art design and pretty fantastic music. Then I would say pick it up on sale, man. If you find it for less than $20, and you're gonna blast through this in, like you said, like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna be the worst time you've ever had. And from an audio video standpoint, it's a pretty awesome time. I reached out to developers today, and they said they're looking into what their plans for the game is in terms of like click turning and pro patch, but they have nothing to announce yet.
Okay.
I really hope both of those things are coming, but no promises. And so as it stands right now, with the game as it is, with no patches, no updates, it's a 2.
See, I think you kind of hit on one of my like bigger issues. Like you said, explore this mansion. But there's nothing to explore. Like, you walk around, what you see is it.
Yeah.
Now, if you go back to something like The Invisible Hours, where there's the story you're literally exploring. Okay, you're not, again, you're not first person, you're kind of going through. But as you go through, there are letters, there are books you can pick up and find and read and get all sorts of depth, background on the characters. And there is, even though you can't pick up every single room, in fact, you can't pick up anything.
Yeah.
You get a chance to actually explore the world and get information about what's happening. Okay?
If we had all that, I would have given this a 1.
Right. If we had even a hint of that. And we kind of, there are signs on the walls that if you walk that are blurry, it's like, okay, I understand it's VR, and you walk up, oh no, it's still blurry. They just didn't bother to put any text on this. With that, there's just straight up bugs. Yep. Like not hey, we understand this is new for everybody. There's straight up bugs. My game crashed and hard multiple times. There were bugs I talked about there, lots of just visual technical glitches that I think could have been buttoned up before they released this.
Sure.
Visually, yes, it looks great as a picture, but I don't want a picture. I want a game.
Yeah.
This is not a game. It's game-like. It's game adjacent.
Sure. I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I'm gonna give this a 3. Unfortunately, I don't think. I mean, it's their first effort, I guess, and you can definitely see, like, okay, what are they good at? They're good at taking the visual assets from one platform, translating them to another, and so you can see their skill set is in this visual, this creating this world, but they don't understand how to make a game out of those visual assets. At least that's what I'm seeing from this. So, as an experiment, as a walking around to look at a pretty thing, sure, but as a game, I can't recommend this in good conscience.
It's a 100% amazing tech demo.
Sure. Yeah, if it was 10 minutes long and it came free and said, "Hey, this is the kind of stuff we're working on," slam dunk.
Yeah. But. Yeah, and we don't give out 3s easily.
No, I don't. And it was hard. There's only been a few times I've done this, and it was just, this was really, like, we've talked about this before. I think definitely in person, maybe on the channel. When we like a game, it's super easy. We play it for 20 minutes, like, yep, this is awesome, and we're done. And when I don't like a game, I really want to dedicate to finishing the game. I want to see every little bit and piece to see if something changes, to see if maybe my attitude when I came in was wrong, and as I get used to it, maybe I grow into it. And this was just, it was so hard for me to finish this game because I just disliked the experience of playing it so much, and especially by the end, not talking about the spoiler, but when you do the last thing and the story happens, just sit back and relax for, I don't know, I counted 8.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Of you literally doing nothing except listening to your character talk to another character.
Yeah, it's the ending is not something that should ever happen in a VR game.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's barely forgivable in any game, but in a VR game where the entire experience is you being in a place doing a thing, you are in a place literally unable to do a thing because,
Listen, it's painfully obvious that we had a ton of issues with this game, and despite the fact that there were, positive aspects.
Yeah.
So, as we always do, we're very, very, very curious to know what you guys think of this game, because as I was going through Steam reviews, the negative ones were actually few and far between. There were a ton of positive ones that couldn't really see the forest through the trees. That were like just blown away so much by the presentation that they were like, no, this game's fantastic. And it sort of ignored all of its negatives. But at a certain point in this game, my eyes opened and I was like, I'm not having any fun.
Yeah.
And that's what it all comes down to. If a game's not fun, then what are we doing?
Right. And I'll say, like, there are people who complain, oh, it's better than Abduction. All right, graphically, there's an argument we can have about that. But I think just from a gameplay point of view, look, Abduction has its flaws. And believe me, I'm just as annoyed as a lot of you are about those flaws, especially building it up so much in my own head. But as far as a game experience goes, Abduction is a finished product. It's a flawed finished product, but it's a finished product. This, like I said, it's a very long tech demo.
Yeah. All right, that pretty much does it for another episode of Why With PlayStation VR. I'm so excited because October is like basically here by the time this thing airs. So look forward to a month of scary games here on Why We Love PlayStation VR,
and a month of Des proving he's not a human being.
Yeah, it's a thing at this point. We all got to get used to the fact we can't scare Des. Although I can't wait for you to try Transference.
Yeah.
So again, make sure you let us know what you think of Torn in the comments below. Also, let us know that once October's over, what games do you want us to play? Because I think we're all mapped out through the month of October.
Yeah.
For another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR, I'm Brian Paul.
I'm Des.
And we'll see you next week.